Chapter 5171. He Xiaomi came in with He Dijin, and old Madam He. This time, Su Qing didn't come with them. He Xiaomi didn't mention Su Qing to them for the time being. It should be said that He Xiaomi didn't have time to contact Su Qing when they returned to the city. Tang Guo was the closest to the door. When the servant came in and saw her, he naturally greeted her. "Miss, he has been invited in." "Okay." Tang Guo nodded. Her gaze fell on He Xiaomi and the He family's mother and son, sizing them up one by one. The three of them were nervous under Tang Guo's gaze, especially the He Dijin and He Dijin. They felt as if they were pricked by a needle. They soon remembered their purpose and straightened their backs. This time, they were here to support He Xiaomi. "Miss He." In the end, Tang Guo greeted He Xiaomi first. "May I know why you suddenly came here today?" He Xiaomi was almost speechless by the question. It was clearly a very ordinary and plain sentence, but she actually felt a little guilty after being asked that. But why did she feel guilty? She looked at the person who had the same mother as her carefully. The person in front of her, who was shining brightly both on the screen and in private, was actually her younger sister. She really envied He Xiaomi. She could grow up with her biological mother, looking at her fair and tender face that was like a freshly peeled egg white. He knew that she had never experienced the scorching sun before. Her slender and beautiful fingers obviously didn't work. She had been pampered since she was a child. Why were their fates so different even though they had the same mother? She didn't want to compare. She just wanted to be like other people. She wanted her biological mother's love. She just needed a little bit. "I'm not here for you today. I'm here for Miss Che." He Xiaomi remembered Che Ruoqian's indifference to her last time. She even looked a little hostile. She felt sad and angry. They were both daughters. Why did Che Ruoqian treat her with different attitudes? "Is that so? Have a seat. She will come out soon." Tang Guo asked them to sit down. They didn't stand on ceremony, and sat in the living room to wait. When the three of them arrived, Che Ruoqian happened to say that she needed to go to the bathroom. They waited for about 2 minutes before they heard some movement upstairs. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice. Che Ruoqian did not notice that there were 3 more people in the living room. When she got closer, she felt that something was different. She asked subconsciously, "Xiao Guo, are there guests at home? Who's going to?" Che Ruoqian stopped abruptly when she saw He Xiaomi. Che Ruoqian didn't take another step forward. Her face turned pale, and her smile froze. She stood there in a daze, not knowing how to react for a moment. Che Ruoqian's head was buzzing, and all the sounds from the outside world seemed unable to reach her ears. Not only did she see He Xiaomi, but she also saw the 2 people who had given her nightmares for days. Her vision turned black, and she almost fainted. Tang Tianxua was already prepared, and went over to support her. Che Ruoqian really wanted to escape from this place, but she couldn't move her feet. They were already here, and things couldn't be hidden anymore. All her efforts and happiness would be shattered because of their arrival. Chapter 5172. Tang Tianxua looked at Che Ruoqian's helpless expression, and his heart clenched. If he could, he didn't want Che Ruoqian to go through all this. However, it had already happened, and there was no way to cover it up. They could only go along with it, and solve it in another way. Che Ruoqian's mind cleared up a little because she heard Tang Tianxua whispering into her ear, "Don't be afraid." His words were soft but warm. He was actually comforting her. Grabbing. In that short moment of clarity, Che Ruoqian seemed to understand something. She looked at Zhuo Qingfei and his wife, then looked at Tang Guo, and finally fixed her gaze on Tang Tianxua's face. Seeing his red eyes filled with heartache, she finally understood what had happened. She opened her mouth, but didn't know what to say. Tang Tianxua hugged her tightly and held her hand. Che Ruoqian was actually not so afraid anymore. It was as if the arrival of the 3 people didn't make things as bad as she thought. Perhaps their family would be disturbed, but her husband, who loved her, and her daughter, were on her side. Che Ruoqian completely calmed down. She had done a lot of preparation for this day. She sat down with Tang Tianxua, and her eyes landed on He Xiaomi. That cold and distant gaze, with some indescribable complexity, made He Xiaomi a little flustered. "Grandma and Dad knew that I found you and wanted to see you." He Xiaomi tried to explain. "I also want an explanation. I left in a hurry last time, and didn't have time to ask some questions. Che Ruotian didn't acknowledge her, and He Xiaomi was too embarrassed to call her mom. Che Ruotian's gaze was fixed on He Xiaomi's face, and He Xiaomi became more and more flustered. It was as if all her little thoughts were exposed. He Xiaomi was a few years older than Xiaogua. Did she really not know what had happened in He village in the past? After all, she had been in the entertainment industry, and had been attacked on the internet for a long time. Did she really not know what all this meant to her? Che Ruotian didn't want to pursue this matter. She just wanted to know the purpose of these three people. Now that you've seen it, you can all leave if there's nothing else. Che Ruotian said coldly. She hated He Dijin and old Madam He very much, and she couldn't feel any motherly love for He Xiaomi. No matter who it was, the more she looked at them, the more she would think of the nightmares she had experienced in the past. She would be in so much pain that she wished she was dead. Ame, why are you so heartless? What do you mean we can leave after taking a look? Can you touch your conscience before you say that? Old Madam He couldn't take it anymore, and called out Che Ruotian's former name. Che Ruotian's former name was Che Qingmei. The He village's people all called her Ame. Old Madam He's bold words made Che Ruotian so angry that she laughed. No conscience. She had no conscience. Mayashuan hu yu enkoem. Back then, she had finally managed to get into university, and was about to start a new life. In the end, her life was almost ruined by this mother and son pair. If she hadn't met Zhuo Chengfei and his wife, she might never have been able to stand up again. Old Madam He actually criticized her. What qualifications did she have to criticize her? That's right. Back then, you left Xiaomi without saying a word and ran away. It's not like our family didn't give you anything to eat or drink. It's fine that you ran away. It's fine that you didn't care about Xiaomi for so many years. But we heard that Xiaomi came to find you, and you didn't recognize her. How can there be a mother as heartless as you in this world? Idijin said. Chapter 5173. That's right. You're too cruel. We worked so hard to raise Xiaomi, but we let you worry about her. Now that the child misses her mother, you can't even fulfill her wish. Has your conscience been eaten by a dog? Old Madam He added. It sounded like Che Ruotian really abandoned her husband and daughter. Che Ruotian almost collapsed when she heard these unreasonable words. She said sternly, I'm cruel? I have no conscience. Has my conscience been eaten by a dog? How dare you say that? Don't you two know very well how I came to He family village back then? Don't think that you can wash away your sins after so many years. I was abducted and sold to your family. What you did was illegal. You imprisoned my freedom. And you too, have you forgotten what you did to me? If I pursue this matter, don't think that you can be at ease today. I'll send you all to jail. All these years, I've never had the courage to face this matter. I care too much about everything now. I'm afraid that if everything is exposed, I'll lose it. How can people like you understand these things? The bad habit of favoring males over females is engraved in your bones. If it weren't for your sins, you wouldn't have been unable to find a wife. Ask yourself, how many babies did He family village secretly kill? If this matter is really pursued, none of you can escape. Grab and seize. I ran away. I'm cruel? I'm just redeeming myself. I'm returning to the path of fighting. What position do you have to criticize me? You don't have the right. You two are the demons who destroyed my life and dreams. Che Ruotian felt that Tang Tianxua had been holding her hand tightly. Her heart was filled with endless courage. Since the people she cared about were willing to encourage her and stand by her side, what else could she not face? At that time, she was afraid that everyone would betray her. She was afraid that the people she cared about the most would distance themselves from her and look at her strangely. He Xiaomi. Che Ruotian's attention fell on He Xiaomi's face. I know that every child in this world wishes to have a mother. So when you came to me, I didn't blame you. I didn't blame you because this is human nature. You're also an adult. There are some things that I have to make clear. From the day you existed in this world, we can't be an ordinary mother and daughter relationship. To you, I'm your birth mother. And to me, you are the source of my pain. When I look at you, I see the despair of the past. Therefore, I can't acknowledge you as my daughter. I think you should know a little about the He family village. When Che Ruoqian said this, she glanced at He Xiaomi. Seeing that He Xiaomi was not surprised at all, she understood. It was the Variety Literature Festival. She had said so much just now, but He Xiaomi didn't seem surprised at all. It could be seen that He Xiaomi was very clear about this matter. Therefore, He Xiaomi only wanted to find her mother. She didn't think about how painful it was for her to be a mother. She did not expect He Xiaomi to understand her pain, because she had never thought of being He Xiaomi's mother. Even if He Xiaomi hated her, there would never be a mother-daughter relationship between them. He Xiaomi bit her lip and said, "I just want to be like ordinary people and have a mother. But we are destined not to be ordinary people. And I have never raised you. I did not raise you. You can forget about this. But you will always be my mother. This is an undeniable fact. Is it really that difficult for you to acknowledge me?" He Xiaomi asked stubbornly. Chapter 5174. Che Ruoqian realized that no matter what she said, He Xiaomi would not understand. Because those who had not experienced her pain would not be able to understand these things. She fell silent, and He Xiaomi continued. "After you left, why didn't you come back to visit me or send me some toys anonymously? I would have been very happy. Actually, I didn't need much. Miss He, have you realized that you have been asking for things and have never thought about it from my mother's perspective?" Tangua could not help but interrupt. "You keep repeating that you need a mother. I won't say much about this because my mother said that this is human nature and that all children will miss their mother. But since you treat her as your mother in your heart, why have you never thought about her? You started by asking why she didn't acknowledge you and said that you only needed a little bit of love, snatching and grasping. But from the beginning until now, I have never felt that you have any relationship with her. I heard that you also went to high school and can almost recognize all the words. You are even a few years older than me. Previously, I even heard that someone dug up your work experience. Speaking of which, you have been in society for many years. You shouldn't have no life experience at all. Then, you should know about what happened in He village back then, right? Even now, in some remote and backward places, that kind of situation still exists. A female university student was abducted to a remote and desolate place, bullied and oppressed. She could never go out, and was even forced to give birth to a child. She went through a life of despair every day. These are all things that Mom has experienced. Have you ever thought about it? You keep saying that she doesn't acknowledge you. But have you ever thought about the reason behind it? To put it bluntly, she doesn't acknowledge you because your existence is the source of her pain. She might have nightmares for many days when she sees you. Clearly, these are all answers that can be obtained with just a little thought. Why do you have to open up her scars? He Xiaomi was a little flustered by the questions, but she still repeated that she just wanted a mother. League of Legends YXLXS. She didn't want to listen to anything, and didn't want to understand everything. It was really funny. According to my investigation, you were almost thrown into the pond by your biological father and grandmother to drown. It was my mother who couldn't bear it, and used a roundabout plan to let you stay, Tangua added. Speaking of which, she gave you 2 new lives. She really doesn't owe you anything. I hope you can think more about it, and give her a quiet life. And all of you, if you don't want this matter to continue, don't appear in front of my mother. Don't have any strange thoughts. We won't do anything to He Xiaomi, but the same can't be said for you. Tangua's words were just a formality. She never thought that the 3 of them would give up. Especially with He Xiaomi's attitude. She felt that if He Xiaomi had not experienced Che Ruoqian's situation, she would not understand Che Ruoqian's despair. He Xiaomi looked simple and innocent, but in her bones, there was only selfishness. She had already explained it so clearly, but the other party only repeated that he wanted his mother. Since that was the case, she couldn't explain further. The sooner she finished the process, the sooner she would see what the other party would do next. She guessed that He Xiaomi wouldn't give up on acknowledging her mother, and the other 2 probably wouldn't be satisfied either. Moreover, some people from the media would sniff out the gossip. When the time came, things would eventually turn out the way she expected. Chapter 5175. He Xiaomi didn't show anything on the surface, but subconsciously, she didn't want to let Che Ruoqian go. Tanggua's words did shock He Xiaomi, and He Xiaomi for the time being. Those who were involved in the abduction business did go to jail. They hadn't been released yet. As soon as Tanggua said that, they couldn't say anything. They were afraid that Che Ruotian would really sue them and put them in jail. Grab and seize. He Xiaomi was also a little upset by Tanggua's words, but she always insisted on her own thoughts. She didn't think there was anything wrong with her coming to her mother. However, Che Ruotian didn't want to acknowledge her, which made her very disappointed. She also had some self-esteem, so she said that she would leave immediately. Before leaving, she said to Che Ruotian, "No matter what, you are my mother. I hope that one day you can think it through, and we can sit down and talk calmly. When I was young, my wish was that my mother could come back and accompany me on my birthday." Che Ruotian didn't answer. She still said that she couldn't accept He Xiaomi. Even if many people would scold her, she couldn't accept it. Tanggua didn't say anything more. Today everything came to the surface. With her and Tang Tianshua's support, Che Ruotian wouldn't think too much. She would have the courage to face what was going to happen next. The three of them went inside, and the living room was quiet. It was Che Ruotian who started. "When did you find out?" Tang Tianshua didn't let go of her hand. "We found out by accident. You were strange a while ago." "I'm sorry, Xiaogua, and I couldn't help but investigate. Then we found out a lot of things, and asked Brother Zhua for some details. Recently, I have been having nightmares. Every nightmare is about losing you. I'm so scared." Che Ruotian burst into tears. "I'm sorry. I can't face those things. I'm afraid. If these things come out, you will leave me and be criticized because of me. You are still the same as when we met. You want to take care of everything by yourself. If I hadn't been so shameless, you wouldn't have let me help you. After so many years, you haven't changed at all. Since we are a family, no matter what happens, we should face it together, right? I'm afraid these things will hurt you." Che Ruotian had indeed thought of using some extreme methods to solve the problem, but after hearing Tang Tianshua's words, she was still a little scared. It turned out that the people around her would always support her. What was there to be afraid of? What she was protecting was her home and her happiness. Now that they all knew about that matter, and they were still trying so hard to help her, of course she had the courage to face everything that was about to happen. This is wonderful pen shop. Even though those bad memories still made her feel pain every time she recalled them. However, the warmth from her husband's palm and her daughter's encouraging smile gave her unlimited courage and more expectations for the future. "Mom, no matter what happens in the future, we will face it together. Dad and I will definitely stand by your side. You don't have to worry about anything. We'll take care of everything. You just need to eat, drink, and play every day." Xiaogua is right. Chapter 5176. What should we do now? It seems that Ame doesn't want to acknowledge Xiaomi anymore. Mother He was no longer as arrogant as before when she decided to look for Che Ruotian. Her eyes flashed with fear, guilt, and a little bit of unwillingness. Not only did she fail to please Ame, but she was also scolded by her. She had a breath of anger in her heart, and had yet to vent it out. She felt so sullen. Dijin was also full of hatred. No matter what, she abandoned Xiaomi. We didn't want that to happen. Besides, we don't even know how to read. Who knows if we can't do that kind of thing? If someone tells us that we can't do that kind of thing, we definitely won't do it. At that time, everyone in the village did that, so we followed suit. Now we don't do that, right? Anyway, she let Xiaomi down. That's right. And she said that we don't want to raise Xiaomi. Mother He continued. Those were just words out of anger. We were very angry at that time. Everyone knows that the village likes boys. If there is no boy in the family, we will definitely be laughed at. We just said a few harsh words and were just joking. We didn't expect Ame to remember it for more than 20 years. Xiaomi, your father and I didn't really say that we don't want to raise you. We didn't want to throw you out and drown you. If we really did that, would we still raise you? Old Madam He quickly said to He Xiaomi. He Xiaomi could earn money and work. All these years, she and her son had a much better life than other people in the village. It was all thanks to He Xiaomi. Now that He Xiaomi was a big star, they couldn't have a gap between them. The mother and son of the He family talked back and forth, pushing away all the mistakes they had made in the past. However, He Xiaomi expressed her understanding of their actions. He Xiaomi felt that the two of them really didn't know how to read, and didn't know the law. They just saw others do it and did it. The harm to Che Ruoqian was really unintentional. She believed them when they said that they wanted to drown her in the past. After Che Ruoqian left, wasn't she living well? If the two of them really wanted to kill her, how could she live to this age? We won't say anything if Ame blames us. But no matter how much she blames us, she shouldn't not acknowledge our Xiaomi. Mother He changed her previous fierce attitude and turned into an old lady who was wholeheartedly thinking about her granddaughter. Thinking about it carefully, it's also our fault. We used to blame her for running away. It's only right for her to run away. After all, we were in the wrong. Yeah, I just hope that she will acknowledge Xiaomi didn't do anything wrong. The mother and son were indeed mother and son. With just a few words, they reached a consensus. From Che Ruoqian's attitude today, they had already realized that using the methods they had taken for granted before would not be able to do anything to Che Ruoqian. Che Ruoqian's disgust and hatred towards them would never dissipate. Although that incident happened a long time ago, they were still a bit afraid. If Che Ruoqian really wanted to pursue them, they would be in trouble. Since that was the case, he might as well use He Xiaomi to get through it. Che Ruoqian was now a rich madam. It was impossible for her to live a peaceful life. As long as she was with He Xiaomi, she would not be able to live a peaceful life. They only needed to do one thing to make Che Ruoqian unable to live the life she wanted. She would insist that He Xiaomi came to find her biological mother. Their only wish was that Che Ruoqian would acknowledge her as her daughter. Chapter 5177. They couldn't let the woman who took away their boy's luck live a comfortable life. Xiaomi, don't worry. I'll find a way to let your mother acknowledge you. What happened back then was Grandma's fault. It had nothing to do with you. I'll go and apologize one day. She can do whatever she wants to me. Even if I have to go to jail, I'll think it's worth it, as long as she acknowledges you. He Xiaomi was touched. Although old madam He didn't treat her as well as she had imagined when she was young, she still had a much better life than the other girls in the village. At least, she could finish high school and live until now. She had heard a lot of things when she was young. At that time, there were indeed many baby girls in the village. At the original location of the He family village, there was a pond in the mountain. Many baby girls drowned in it. After the baby girls were drowned, the villagers threw them to the back of the mountain and dug a hole to bury them. She was one of the few baby girls in the village who could survive. She also knew that the mother and son of the He family liked boys, but the fact that she could survive in such an environment showed that they were very kind to her. In fact, she didn't know that she could survive the first time, because Che Ruoqian didn't want her to be killed by the mother and son. After Che Ruoqian ran away, the mother and son wanted to kill her and throw her away. But didn't Che Ruoqian write a letter and ask Zhuo Qingfei for help? Because of this, the incident in the village was noticed. At that time, the women who should leave all left the village. Because of the power of many people, the village was exposed, and everyone moved to the foot of the mountain. In order to prevent the previous incident from happening again, this place was not only forced to provide 9 years of compulsory education, but also paid more attention to the education of girls. The people who helped the poor would pay attention to the situation of the girls in each family every week. The mother and son of the He family wanted to kill He Xiaomi and bury her, but reality didn't allow it. Later, there was a subsidy for raising a girl, so they gave up the idea. He Xiaomi thought that the mother and son of the He family were kind to her, but she didn't know that they were just taking advantage of the benefits of helping the poor. In fact, it had something to do with Che Ruoqian. Mom, you're right. I'll go and apologize. He Dijin said. I don't know those things. I didn't know that it was wrong. You see, I married her, didn't I? Unfortunately, that woman still looked down on me and left with the 2 children. This is a sin, isn't it? I'm afraid our He family's bloodline is going to end here. Old madam He complained, but He Xiaomi didn't dislike it at all. Instead, she felt sorry for them. Dad, Grandma, you can live in the city in the future. I can make money, so I won't go back to that small mountain village. If Dad likes someone in the future, he can get married and have children. Maybe one day, Grandma will be able to hold a grandson. Hearing this, the mother and son couldn't help but laugh. They praised He Xiaomi for being a sensible girl. However, they didn't want to think about this now. They still hoped that Che Ruoqian would accept her as soon as possible. They didn't want anything else, which made He Xiaomi even more touched. She decided in her heart that she would definitely let the two of them live a good life. Previously, she had made a lot of money from filming movies. Now she wanted to continue this job and take on new roles and advertisements. Only then could she continue to earn money and settle down in this city. As long as her home was safe, it was only a matter of time before Che Ruoqian recognized her. After all, this would bring them closer. Back at her place, He Xiaomi took the initiative to call Su Qing, saying that she had returned to the city and wanted to continue her career in the entertainment industry. Chapter 5178. That's good. You are very talented in this area. It would be a pity if you really give up. Su Qing was very happy to receive He Xiaomi's call. When can you start your new job? I haven't prepared a new script yet, but I can recommend you to audition. But you are not a professional after all. You still need some basic training. So it's better to do some systematic training first before you start your new job. He Xiaomi didn't understand this area, so she would listen to Su Qing. Seeing that He Xiaomi trusted him so much, Su Qing asked in surprise, "Aren't you afraid that I will sell you? You are so careless when you are outside. If I have bad intentions, I will sell you to a company. Then your acting career will be over. You can only be ruined by that company. I believe you won't." He Xiaomi's firm words made Su Qing's heart a little hot. In this complicated industry, there was someone who trusted him so much without any doubt. If he didn't arrange it for her, he would feel guilty. This was what he appreciated most about He Xiaomi. She was too simple, too pure. She was like a crystal ball without any impurities. Well, since you can trust me, I will definitely arrange it for you. I won't let you suffer any losses. When you sign with a company, you can sign with one of my friend's companies. As for the details, we can talk about it in detail when we meet. Look, when are you free? Anytime. I want to work as soon as possible. Su Qing felt strange about He Xiaomi's eagerness, so he asked her what was going on. These things shouldn't be told to others, but in He Xiaomi's mind, Su Qing was different. She told him about her meeting with Che Ruoqian again. She still doesn't want to acknowledge me. I only have Grandma and Dad now, so I want to earn more money so that they can live in a big house. I also want to settle down in this city. I won't go back to that place in the future. You still want to acknowledge your mother, right? Yes. No matter what, she is my mother. Everyone wants to have a complete family. I don't have it. I just hope that she will acknowledge me as her daughter one day. Maybe she thinks that I am not good enough, so I want to be better. Maybe she will see me one day. Su Qing said, I can't persuade you, but if you're willing to work hard, I'll support you. The next day, He Xiaomi met up with Su Qing. With Su Qing's help, she started a new life. Sign a contract with a company, undergo training, and then choose a script. She had a very high starting point, so the scripts she chose later were all aimed at the female lead role. With Su Qing's support, no one in the industry dared to look down on her. Che Ruoqian met the He family that day and returned to the company to work the next day. She returned to her former self. The people in the company only thought that she had recovered from her illness and returned to work. They didn't think much about it. Tang Gua also repeated the life of the original owner, filming, occasionally going to the company to take a look, and accompanying Che Ruoqian. Then he stared at He Xiaomi's every move. When she heard that He Xiaomi was going to audition for the female lead role in a movie, she also received the script. She skimmed through the script. It was indeed a good script. Logically speaking, it was not easy for a newcomer like He Xiaomi to get this role. However, if she had Su Qing's guidance behind her back, she would definitely be able to surpass the others if nothing unexpected happened. Chapter 5179. At that time, the host was filming another drama and couldn't make it in time. Even if she made it in time, she might not have been chosen. This wasn't just a test of acting skills. It also tested the actor's ability to understand the role. Only the person who could act in accordance with the director's expectations would be more likely to be chosen. Su Qing's ability didn't need to be mentioned. Under his training, He Xiaomi couldn't satisfy the director 100%, but 90% was no problem. This was already a probability that other actresses couldn't compare to. Miss Tang, are you planning to compete for this role? Tang Guo read the script in the company. Zhuo Yi was also in the company. As long as Tang Guo came to the company, he would quickly come to her side and pass her a cup of coffee. This role is a little down to earth. It won't be easy, but I believe that if you are serious, you will have a high chance of getting it. It seems that you still don't have much confidence in me. You don't even dare to say that I will succeed. Zhuo Yi laughed and crossed his arms. He said seriously, Miss Tang, you have been in this industry for a long time. You know that there is no such thing as a 100% chance. Even if you perform well that day, you might miss this role because of other things, right? I heard that the director of this script used to be Su Qing's classmate. At that time, they were in the same dormitory. They were very close to each other. Su Qing should know his preferences. He Xiaomi isn't bad. Won't it be easy for her to satisfy the director? Because of your classmate relationship, even if you are a little better than He Xiaomi, the director will still choose her. He Xiaomi has a natural advantage. Tang Guo looked up. What advantage? Her identity and her image. The popularity of her last movie hasn't died down yet. The audience just got to know her, and they even feel sorry for her. This is a good opportunity. Many people will be looking forward to her new movie. Zhuo Yi saw that Tang Guo was silent, so he added some water for her and comforted her. Actually, you are very good. Anyway, you are the best person in the industry. Even if this is a down-to-earth role, I believe that you can perform in a different style and surprise people. But if you can't surpass He Xiaomi on the day of the audition, it will be difficult for you to get the role. Then I still have to try. I hope you succeed. Zhuo Yi smiled. When the time comes, there will definitely be big news. There might be a lot of announcements about you being competitive and bullying newcomers. Then my public relations will finally be useful. Tang Guo. After talking for so long, this guy was actually waiting for this. Was he uncomfortable with being paid for nothing? Then you'll have to wait and get busy. Tang Guo held the script and silently analyzed the female lead role. If she had not traveled through so many worlds, she might not have been confident. However, every world she lived in was filled with different people. She was confident that she could create a real character. She did not look down on anyone, not even He Xiaomi. She would carefully analyze the role of the female lead and strive to perform at her best on the day of the audition. 5 days later, Tang Guo went for an audition. She had 2 goals for going there today. First, she wanted to take down that stunning beauty who didn't fit her image. Second, she wanted to give He Xiaomi the gene-altering drug. Chapter 5180. When Tang Guo arrived, there was already a sea of people. Coincidentally, when she arrived, He Xiaomi had just arrived and was in front of her in the queue. As soon as she arrived, she attracted a lot of attention and was naturally noticed by He Xiaomi. When He Xiaomi saw Tang Guo, she didn't know how to greet her. She only looked at Tang Guo. Tang Guo glanced at her indifferently and didn't intend to greet her. According to her current persona, she definitely wouldn't greet He Xiaomi. Snatch. System. The host is very particular and suddenly remembered that she had a persona. He Xiaomi hurriedly lowered her head and looked elsewhere. Tang Guo felt that there was a camera recording them, but she didn't care. System. Just take whatever you want. They probably already know that I'm coming to the audition and want to create some new news. The bigger the conflict between her and He Xiaomi, the better. Anyway, she didn't do that kind of thing. Didn't her father hire a public relations person for her? He had been paid a white collar for so many days. It was time for him to work. Zhuo Yi was also here today, but Tang Guo didn't know where he was at the moment. Zhuo Yi told her that he would definitely come today, and he would have all the information at the scene. She guessed that Zhuo Yi might be a staff member. The people in front of her were getting fewer and fewer. Soon it was He Xiaomi's turn. He Xiaomi went in nervously. After about 20 minutes, He Xiaomi came out. When she passed by Tanggua, He Xiaomi paused and didn't say anything. However, she heard Tanggua's voice. I have something to tell you later. Washroom. Tanggua believed that He Xiaomi would wait for her. She couldn't do it today, but she could find a chance another day. She wasn't in a hurry. As Tanggua wished, He Xiaomi didn't intend to leave. She whispered to her assistant that her stomach wasn't feeling well, and she wanted to go to the washroom. Tanggua came to the audition room. There were many people here. Di Yuan would definitely be here, and there was another person. It was actually Su Qing. Seeing Su Qing sitting there openly, Tanggua wasn't afraid in her heart. She believed that the director wouldn't ruin his reputation. If she was only a little better than He Xiaomi, it was normal that Di Yuan wouldn't be tempted. If she was much better than He Xiaomi, the friendship between classmates would not be of much use. A director would always be a little stubborn. He would choose the person that best suited him. Unless the director was completely unable to make decisions, and was only shooting popular movies and television dramas. He was not aiming to win awards and did not treat the movie as a work of art. She roughly scanned the expressions of everyone present, and saw a very familiar figure in a corner. This guy was wearing a cap. Who else could it be but Zhuyi? She didn't know how Zhuyi got in, but in her heart, she admired his ability. Miss Tang, we meet again. Di Yuan knew that Tanggua was very interested in the female lead, but he didn't expect that she would really come. In fact, there was no need for her to come. I didn't expect that you would be interested in this role. Do you know anything about this role? In fact, Miss Tang's strength was obvious to all. However, this character was still a little special. To put it simply, it didn't match Miss Tang's image at all. If I remember correctly, Miss Tang doesn't have any roles related to this character. That's why I came today to give it a try. If it doesn't work, Director D can just reject it, Tanggua replied calmly. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Di Yuan nodded his head. Then I'm relieved. He was just giving her a heads up. He didn't want to have any conflicts with Tanggua, and wanted to save some face. After all, who knew one day, the person in front of him might turn into his sugar daddy. In his heart, he already had the best candidate in mind. It was He Xiaomi who had just left. Because of his first impression, he didn't think that Tanggua's performance today would be enough to change his mind. But, as soon as Tanggua entered the zone and gave him her first look, Di Yuan froze in place in shock. His originally nonchalant expression turned serious. Even though she didn't have much makeup on her clothes and simply tied up her loose hair, she still looked very serious. However, her temperament was completely different from the domineering aura from before. Chapter 5181. Not to mention Di Yuan, even Su Qing was stunned for a moment when he saw Tanggua immerse herself in the role. He instantly immersed himself in the role she was playing. Tanggua didn't choose a very exciting scene. She guessed that many people would perform this scene, and He Xiaomi should have chosen this scene as well. Her performance wasn't bad at all. She chose another scene. The performance of this scene wasn't so exciting, but it wasn't easy to play the emotions well. Every actor had a different understanding of such a scene. Whether she could move Di Yuan depended on whether her understanding of this scene could resonate with him. 5 minutes later, Tanggua's performance was over. The room was silent. Su Qing was the first to wake up. At this moment, he looked at Tanggua differently. Thinking of the relationship between Tanggua and He Xiaomi, the admiration in his eyes disappeared instantly. It was replaced by a strong sense of vigilance. Tanggua saw it but didn't care. She looked at Di Yuan. No one disturbed Di Yuan. 1 minute later, Di Yuan woke up. The calm expression on his face suddenly became excited. He flipped through the script quickly looking for something. Then, he stood up and handed the script to Tanggua. He pointed at the first scene and said, "You play this scene and this scene once." One of the scenes that Di Yuan chose was the most exciting one that many people would choose. There was also a scene where the female lead appeared. Tanggua guessed that Di Yuan had some ideas. She nodded slightly, pretended to look through the script, and then started to perform. In fact, she had seen all these scenes and was prepared. With her eidetic memory, it was easy. The only thing that troubled her was that she had to figure out the role, and act with her own understanding. Another 10 minutes passed. Tanggua's two wonderful performances completely excited Di Yuan. He originally thought that He Xiaomi was the most suitable candidate because He Xiaomi was very suitable for the role. Her performance was also very lively. In addition, she was a newcomer who had just debuted not long ago. There were many aspects that were worth cultivating. If he hadn't seen Tanggua's 3 scenes, he would have thought that He Xiaomi was the best candidate. But after watching, he chose Tanggua without hesitation. He Xiaomi's outfit today was indeed more fitting for the role. Although appearance was very important, Tanggua's performance didn't require any appearance, temperament, eyes, expression, or actions. As long as she was in character, it was as if she was the female lead in the drama. He was certain that he would never find another person who could fit his character so perfectly. Thinking back to what he had said before, he felt that he had been too narrow-minded. Some of them looked like rich young ladies, but it was undeniable that they were strong. Tanggua had never challenged such a role before, so no one knew how good she was. Di Yuan couldn't help but look at Su Qing. Su Qing also looked at him. Su Qing understood the meaning in Di Yuan's eyes. He was probably asking him why he had chosen He Xiaomi and not Tanggua. Clearly, the characters of the 2 movies overlapped. Su Qing was also very depressed. He did not choose Tanggua. Of course, during the audition, Tanggua's understanding of the role did not meet his expectations. If Tanggua was as good as she was today, he might have chosen her too. Di Yuan's expression became more and more strange. Then, he nodded meaningfully as if he had understood something. He smiled at Su Qing. Chapter 5182. Su Qing was a little confused. He didn't know what Di Yuan meant. Di Yuan thought that Su Qing was really generous. In order to promote the person he liked, he actually missed out on such an excellent actress like Tanggua. If Tanggua had been in the previous movie, it would have been an unexpected surprise. Di Yuan smiled inwardly. Then, he very seriously invited Tanggua to join the cast. He didn't even look at the rest of the cast. He planned to choose another character. He believed that he couldn't find anyone more suitable for this role than Tanggua. After Tanggua left the room, Di Yuan said to Su Qing, "As you can see, I can't help you with this. Miss Tang is much better than He Xiaomi. After watching her performance, I might not be able to continue with the movie if it was someone else." I know. Su Qing didn't expect that Di Yuan would break his own principles for him. Di Yuan didn't give him a firm promise before. He just said that if He Xiaomi was good enough and better than the others, she would be the priority. But the situation was that Tanggua's performance today was much better than He Xiaomi's. Favors were useless here. Actually, He Xiaomi is not bad. There are a few other outstanding roles in the movie. If she wants, she can still try, Di Yuan said. Actually, she has a lot of scenes. If she plays it well, it will be very good. Su Qing said, "Thank you. I'll see. She's still a newcomer. I hope to choose some suitable roles for her." Okay. Di Yuan understood. Su Qing still didn't want He Xiaomi to play a role other than the female lead. He Xiaomi suddenly became a new force. She was the female lead. If she suddenly played the second female lead, there would be a big gap, and it would be a bit of a waste. If she had the right resources and became popular again, her position would be much more stable. Di Yuan was just being polite. After all, they were old classmates. Tanggua left the room and told her assistant that she needed to go to the bathroom. As soon as she entered the bathroom, she saw He Xiaomi there. Tanggua was holding a pill in her hand. When she approached He Xiaomi, she held her breath and crushed the pill. When He Xiaomi turned around, she didn't know why, but she felt dizzy. Her vision turned black, and she fell to the side. Tanggua hurriedly went over to support her. The moment she supported her, a syringe appeared in her hand. She looked at the unconscious He Xiaomi and injected the gene-altering drug into her neck. Everything went smoothly. Last night, she even applied some medicine to the pinhole. Seeing that the pinhole was smooth, she was relieved. The system had already helped her monitor her surroundings. There was no one in the washroom. When she came in, she immediately hung a sign saying that the washroom was under maintenance, so no one would come in now. She woke He Xiaomi up. He Xiaomi found that she had fainted and was supported by Tanggua. She quickly stood up and felt a little dizzy. Are you okay? Do you want to go to the hospital? He Xiaomi shook her head. There's no need. It's probably because of low blood sugar. He didn't eat breakfast. He Xiaomi didn't suspect anything. She used to feel dizzy in the morning. As long as she didn't eat breakfast, she would feel dizzy. Of course, that was a long time ago. Oh, He Xiaomi. I don't know why you're looking for me. It's not a big deal. I just hope that you won't disturb my mother in the future. She had a hard life in the first half of her life. Now she just wants to live a peaceful life. Every time you appear, she will recall nightmarish experiences. Chapter 5183. I know that everyone wishes to have a mother, but your situation and relationship with her are very special. She will never be able to give you the motherly love of an ordinary mother. If you keep pestering her, it will only make her more unwilling to remember the past. She will want to be strangers with you. He Xiaomi took 2 steps back. Obviously, she was unwilling to accept Tanggua's words. Tanggua did not expect her to understand. Everything was just a process. If He Xiaomi could think it through and understand Che Ruoqian's difficulties, that would be the best. If she could not understand, then everything would go on as usual. If you promise not to disturb her in the future, and give up the idea of acknowledging her, you can look for me if you have any difficulties in the industry in the future. The condition is that everything has to be kept secret. You can't let anyone know about our relationship. He Xiaomi laughed when she heard this. Why would I need your help in the industry? You think too highly of yourself. Is that so? Then, I'm really thinking too much. Tanggua smiled. She did not care about He Xiaomi's mockery at all. Even if you want to destroy my mother, you still want to acknowledge her? You really can't understand her pain? Miss Tang, you don't have to say anymore. You're a child who grew up in a happy family. You won't understand how it's like to live without a mother. We're related by blood. She's my mother. This is a fact. You don't have the right to make me choose. Don't worry. I'm not trying to snatch anything from you. I just want to be like an ordinary person and have a mother. That's all. My thinking is very simple. I'm not doing this for anything. Miss Tang, please excuse me. He Xiaomi took her bag and walked out. I hope you won't mention this matter to me in the future. I can't give up on that matter. Tanggua did not stop He Xiaomi. She did not intend to persuade her either. Since this was the other party's choice, why should she interfere? Their family was ready to welcome the storm. He Xiaomi left the building and returned to the car. Su Qing was already waiting in the car. Xiaomi, there are other scripts here. I've selected a few roles. You can go and try them out. He Xiaomi was still angry. She was puzzled when Su Qing suddenly handed her a few scripts. I thought I can't act. Won't director Zhai dislike me? Because of Zhai Yuan's attitude, she thought that her performance could move him, and it would not be a problem for her to get the female lead. She had watched some of Tanggua's dramas. She didn't think that the other party could really handle such a down-to-earth character. It was too unsuitable for her role. Actually, she had some guesses in her heart, but she did not dare to believe it. Yes, I have to admit that she won today. She must have specially researched this aspect after coming to my place for the audition, and put in a lot of hard work. Chapter 5184. Su Qing comforted He Xiaomi. Other than the last sentence, everything he said was sincere. After watching Tanggua's performance today, he knew that Tanggua was the one who was blessed by God. She was more talented than He Xiaomi. Okay. He Xiaomi was disappointed that she couldn't win against Tanggua. But when she thought about how Tanggua had been in the industry for so many years, it was normal for her to lose. Tanggua had acted in so many movies, and she had won many awards. She was recognized as one of the best young actors. He Xiaomi heaved a sigh of relief. I will do my best. She would do her best to surpass Tanggua, and be more outstanding than her. She would let Che Ruoqian know that she was not just a daughter. She was also outstanding, and not someone who couldn't be seen in public. She would never give up on this relationship. She had to make Che Ruoqian accept her. Your performance today shocked me. I didn't expect you to be able to handle such a role. There are many things you don't know, so don't look down on others. Zhuyi smiled. Yes, it's my fault. I underestimated Miss Tang. Someone secretly took photos of me today. I reckon that Tang Xiaomi and I will soon be on the hot search list. At that time, your job will come. Tang Guo recalled the scene of the audition. She was secretly photographed twice. The first time was when she met He Xiaomi. The second time was when she left the washroom with He Xiaomi. The paparazzi would let this matter fester. Ever since He Xiaomi debuted as the first female lead, she was scolded by the entire internet. Then the situation changed. A large group of people treated her as their daughter and doted on her. Some female celebrities who were slightly related to He Xiaomi were attacked by He Xiaomi's fans. In the eyes of her fans, He Xiaomi was a pure and innocent flower. Everyone wanted to bully her, and it made their hearts ache. Tang Guo could already guess what the paparazzi would write. Even if the evidence was released, He Xiaomi's fans would not listen to it. They would still think that she was bullying a newcomer. Maybe He Xiaomi's company and team would use this to create hype. In this day and age, there weren't many people in this circle who didn't want to create hype. It would be a waste not to take the heat that was sent to them. Sure enough, a few days later, when Di Yuan officially announced that the female lead for the new movie was Tang Guo, the entire internet was shocked. After all, there were rumors that He Xiaomi might be the female lead in Di Yuan's new movie. The existence of fans was sometimes very mysterious. They would rather believe the news spread through the grapevine than accept the official results. They always felt that their idols were being ostracized and suffered losses. As soon as the news of Tang Guo acting as Di Yuan's female lead was released, it became a trending topic. Tang Guo also cooperated and forwarded the post. Of course, the comments were filled with blessings from the fans. However, Di Yuan's official account was not as calm. He Xiaomi's fans raised all kinds of questions. Why was it Tang Guo and not He Xiaomi? First of all, Tang Guo's image was not suitable. Secondly, didn't they say that He Xiaomi was the one who was chosen? Don't underestimate the power of your fans. After a while, the news of Tang Guo bullying a newcomer and intercepting He Xiaomi's post became a trending topic. Brother Zhua, your job is here. Tang Guo leaned back in her chair and kept scrolling through her phone. Looking at the words that popped up quickly, she asked Zhua Yi to get to work. Zhua Yi, don't worry. Don't respond to this matter for now. Just wait for them to make a fuss. Okay, I'll listen to you. If my reputation is ruined, then it's your responsibility. Think of a way to fix it. Don't worry. It won't be ruined. This is not a big deal. Let's see how He Xiaomi will deal with it. If they don't respond, then they deserve to suffer losses. Chapter 5185. Do you know that when things reach an extreme, they will move in the opposite direction? If there are too many people scolding you, and you did not do anything wrong, the passers-by will find those netizens who attack you online annoying, especially the fans of a certain company. Zhua Yi smiled. Actually, at this time, He Xiaomi can neither respond nor not respond. But for the time being, they probably do not realize the seriousness of this matter. This industry is used to using this method to gain popularity. You are different from other female celebrities. You don't need this kind of popularity. Grab and seize. After all, you are going home to inherit the family fortune. Besides acting, you don't have time for other activities in the industry. He Xiaomi is different. She wants to take this path. She definitely needs popularity. If she doesn't respond this time, it means that their company may want to use this opportunity to make the fans feel sorry for He Xiaomi. They will abuse her fans, consolidate her fans, and increase her fans. But they may have overlooked one point. That is, there will be people who will take advantage of the situation. They will crazily hire fake reviewers to attack you and defame you in the name of He Xiaomi's fans. Zhua Yi said meaningfully. This group of people is not doing well. They want to ruin He Xiaomi's popularity and leave a bad impression on you. You are reading a book. Even if you don't have enemies in the industry and have not offended anyone, you can't escape from this. Tang Guo smiled faintly and said, That sounds reasonable. Then should we wait? Let's wait. Director Zhai admires you so much. If this matter becomes too serious, he will take the initiative to clarify it for you. If he doesn't do that, I can secretly help you play a clip of the two of you. This is the last choice. But before that, I can secretly release some news. You two auditioned on the same day, and Xiaomi lost to you. You did not steal her victory. Okay, you can arrange it. These are not important. Indeed, they were not important. She was only waiting for the news of Xiaomi, looking for her mother to be exposed. Everything else was trivial. For 2 consecutive days, only Xiaomi's fans questioned why Tang Guo had taken Xiaomi's role. Did Tang Guo bully a newcomer and use some tricks to force Xiaomi to give in? Now, it had evolved into Tang Guo stealing Xiaomi's role, bullying a newcomer, and shamelessly attacking her on the internet. Of course, Tang Tianxua and his wife knew about this. They had originally planned to block these hot searches, but under Zhuo Yi's persuasion, they could only hold back. Zhuo Yi analyzed with them that this thing was useless. It could seal the internet, but it couldn't seal the netizens' mouths. There were so many platforms now. They did not do such a thing in the first place. If they did this, they would appear to be guilty. People would think that they were abusing their power and scold them for being bloodsuckers who bullied the weak. This would not be good for Tang Guo's upcoming comeback. The current situation was that anyone who spoke up for Tang Guo on the internet would be chased and scolded by a group of lunatics. As a result, many passers-by thought that Xiaomi's fans were crazy and hated Xiaomi. Xiaomi's company had already realized that something was wrong, but it was too late now. They gathered together and planned to make a clarification so that Xiaomi could restrain the fans' behavior. But before they could discuss the best outcome, Zhai Yuan could not take it anymore. He directly released the clip of Tang Guo and Xiaomi's audition on his official account. At that moment, the uproar on the internet suddenly quieted down. Chapter 5186. The audition clip released by the official account attracted the attention of many people. When they saw Xiaomi's audition clip, many people wondered why Xiaomi was not chosen when she acted so well. Could it be that Tang Guo really used some tricks to steal the role of the first female lead? When they saw Tang Guo's audition clip, they only wanted to say one word. What the fuck? Xiaomi did not lose to her unjustly. The audition clip was released. There was no way that Tang Guo bullied a newcomer or stole the role of the first female lead. The passers-by who had been watching and being attacked finally felt relieved. They felt that Xiaomi's fans were too despicable. Xiaomi quickly expressed her attitude and tried her best to salvage the situation. However, she had already left a bad impression on the passers-by. It was difficult for her to gain the favor of the passers-by like before. Only fans would protect her in all sorts of ways. There were still some comments on the internet saying that Xiaomi was just a newcomer and needed to learn from her seniors. It was normal that she could not compare to her seniors. When these comments appeared, many people were not used to it. Of course, this was just a small matter. It passed within 2 days. Tang Guo did not care much about it. She did not even want to spend too much time on it. She did not rely on this to make a living. Xiaomi's company and Su Qing were trying their best to salvage Xiaomi's image. They quickly planned her future path to create a feeling that Xiaomi had been working hard. Whether it was Xiaomi or Su Qing, of course they were aloof. They did not want to take advantage of Tang Guo's popularity. Xiaomi did not want to. She felt that she was at a disadvantage. Su Qing felt that these things were useless. If they wanted to develop in the long run, they still needed the work to speak. Hence, when the popularity died down, they were very concerned about it and did not create any more trouble. Tang Guo had already joined Di Yuan's crew for filming. She was very busy every day. Even so, she was still very concerned about Che Ruoqian. Che Ruoqian was busy in the company every day. With her husband and daughter's concern, she was getting more and more courageous to face the past. Unknowingly, a few months passed. The annual film festival came. Xiaomi's newly debuted film won an award. Her role as the first female lead won the Best Newcomer award. There were a few actresses who were nominated at the same time. They were all very good actors in the industry. Hence, Xiaomi did not win. Even so, many people were envious of Xiaomi's achievements, even though she was an amateur. During the award ceremony, Xiaomi was asked a question by the host. The host, Xiaomi, congratulations. Who do you want to share this joy with? Do you have anything to say to the person? Actually, this was just a process was to pass. Xiaomi was very excited now. She had never thought that one day she would stand under such a dazzling spotlight, holding the trophy and sharing her joy with everyone. The host clearly felt that there was a story behind this, so he asked, "This person is?" Chapter 5187. This person is my mother. Xiaomi didn't hide anything. She just wanted to vent. She would become more and more outstanding. In the future, her face would be everywhere. She didn't believe that Che Ruoqian wouldn't notice at all. The host liked artists with stories. He asked, "It sounds like there's a story. Is it convenient for you to talk about your mother? There seems to be some conflict between the two of you." "Yes, there are some." Xiaomi wasn't afraid of this at all. "I don't know if I can get her recognition now. I hope that the next time I get the Best Female Lead award, she will acknowledge me and acknowledge me. It was almost time. It was time to be happy." The host didn't want to ask too much. It was enough now. In the end, he just said one sentence and wished Xiaomi success. However, some of the sharper media felt that things weren't simple. Xiaomi already had a lot of things to discover. Now that she revealed some things, they had to hurry up and find out more. Tangua didn't go to the film festival because she didn't participate in the film festival. But she still watched the live broadcast of the film festival. When she saw Xiaomi's words, she wasn't sure if Xiaomi knew. Because of this, many people were interested in who her mother was and what happened between them. Che Ruoqian was there too. When she saw Xiaomi's acceptance speech, she didn't feel anything. She was also confused. Xiaomi really didn't know. If she said this, many people would be interested. Would they follow her every day to film? It was only a matter of time before they found out about their relationship. Tang Tianxua held Che Ruoqian's hand. Although he didn't say anything, the warmth in his hand gave Che Ruoqian a lot of courage. "Don't worry. As long as you have your daughter by my side and don't leave me, I'm not afraid of anything. The most precious thing wouldn't slip away from her. What else could she be afraid of?" "It's good that you think this way." Tang Tianxua was very worried every day. He was too afraid of losing Che Ruoqian. He had to watch Che Ruoqian fall asleep every day before he could sleep. He had to wake up early and see the warmth of the person lying beside him. Only then would he feel that this wasn't a dream. The next day, Tangua received a call from Zhuo Yi. There are already many paparazzi following Xiaomi. Currently, Xiaomi's whereabouts are under their surveillance. Also, the He family's mother and son are under their observation. So fast. That was on the same day. After all, as a paparazzi, if you're not sharp, you won't be able to dig up first-hand information. Zhuo Yi said. Someone has already contacted the He family's mother and son, intending to find out more about Xiaomi's mother from them. It won't be long before the news gets out. Also, once they dig up the information, they will probably go to your family to blackmail you. Then I'm sorry, I don't have a penny. Tangua coldly refused, which amused Zhuo Yi. If you're so stingy, they might write some articles that are unfavorable to you. Don't I have you? I've given you so many months' worth of salary for nothing. You have to work. Zhuo Yi only smiled, indicating that he would do his best. In fact, he had recently noticed that Che Ruoqian was being healed by the father and daughter. She was no longer so afraid of everything that had happened in the past. There was only one problem she faced, and that was to not acknowledge Xiaomi. No matter what happened to her, in the eyes of some people, not acknowledging their own daughter was a heinous crime. Especially with Xiaomi's identity, the impact would be huge. Chapter 5188. Tangua and Xiaomi were busy with their own matters, but the He mother and son pair had been meeting a lot of people recently. These people wanted to dig up first-hand information, but the mother and son pair were not idiots. The moment they started talking about Xiaomi's mother, they guessed something. They did not say who she was, but they cried when they met people. Xiaomi is so pitiful. She was abandoned by her mother when she was young. When she grew up, she went to look for her mother. In the end, that woman did not even acknowledge her as her daughter. Just this sentence alone could make a woman be scolded to death on the internet. The two of them tried to downplay their own existence. They talked bad about Che Ruoqian, but they did not reveal her identity. This made the paparazzi very anxious. But this bit of information was enough for them to write about. In less than 2 days, a trending topic about He Xiaomi appeared on the front page. Hashtag He Xiaomi was abandoned by her mother. Hashtag, who was He Xiaomi? She was a popular female celebrity. A female celebrity who debuted as an amateur and became famous overnight. She was a female celebrity who won the Newcomer Award. There were too many mysteries about her. Now that she was abandoned by her mother, people remembered her. During the acceptance speech, the internet became lively again. Most of the discussions were about how pitiful He Xiaomi was. After the discussion, many people started to scold the mother who abandoned He Xiaomi. Although the article did not mention the details, the majority of the netizens were very imaginative. Because He Xiaomi came from a small mountain village, many people automatically thought that the woman must have abandoned her child because she could not live a poor life. There was no need for evidence on the internet. They could just make up a topic that was suitable for the current debate, and countless people would agree. In an instant, the news of He Xiaomi's mother being poor and loving the rich spread like wildfire. On He Xiaomi's side, there was a group of mother fans. They called He Xiaomi their daughter and posted all kinds of comments on the internet, saying that they were targeting their daughter. As for the unknown mother, she was being scolded by all kinds of people. Che Ruoqian had been watching the news for the past 2 days. It was similar to what she had expected. Tang Tianxua and Tang Gua did not want her to see this at first, but Che Ruoqian said that it was fine. She could still bear with it. You don't have to be so worried. Nothing will happen to me. Che Ruoqian saw how worried the two of them were and comforted them. Although they said it badly, it's not the truth. These things aren't as tough as when I started my business. Che Ruoqian really didn't care about He Xiaomi because she didn't pay attention to He Xiaomi's attitude towards this matter. It was a fact that she did not acknowledge He Xiaomi. If He Xiaomi hated her because of this, she had nothing to say. At this time, He Xiaomi was also looking at the trending topic. Recently, her fans had left her some heartwarming comments on her blog, which made her feel very happy. Based on the current situation, Tang Gua planned to write an article and let the system help her to post it. This way, no one would be able to trace her address. The title of the article was, He Xiaomi, do you love your mother? Anyway, with He Xiaomi in the topic, it would definitely be on the hot search list. Even if it didn't, the system would make it. The content of the article was not long. He Xiaomi, I happened to see the award ceremony of the film festival. You said that you wanted to find your mother. There seems to be some misunderstanding between the two of you, but I can feel that you want your mother to see your success and acknowledge you. Chapter 5189. However, it didn't take long before He Xiaomi was abandoned by her mother flooded the internet. There were many comments scolding your mother online, saying that your mother abandoned you because she despised the poor and loved the rich. Since your mother abandoned you and is a heartless woman, why are you still looking for her? If the rumors on the internet aren't true, why don't you clarify for your mother? So He Xiaomi, do you love your mother? What misunderstandings do you have with your mother? Do you need to explain yourself to the netizens? I think that if a person really loves their mother, they definitely won't allow the internet to slander them. Not long after this article was posted, it became a trending topic and attracted many people's attention. Of course, there were still many people scolding He Xiaomi's mother, but there were also calm people who said that they really needed the person involved to respond. If they were really wrong and those things were made up by the marketing team, it would be unfair to both parties. When He Xiaomi saw this article, she didn't know what to do. The company called her and asked her what was going on. My mother did abandon me when I was very young, but there were some reasons. No matter what, I still want to find her. So it's true that she abandoned you? He Xiaomi, yes. Whether it's true or not, you're a public artist. You can't publicly say that you hate your mother. Such words will make some people dislike you. After all, you gave birth to her. Why don't you show your attitude and warn those marketing team not to spread rumors? Also, you don't want your private matters to occupy the public platform. You want to appear on the public platform with your own work. He Xiaomi heaved a sigh of relief. Okay, I'll listen to you. The company felt that there was no problem and helped He Xiaomi to respond. Indeed, He Xiaomi's fans were very supportive of her. Although she didn't explain anything, she didn't slander her mother either. She even mentioned that she hoped that she would appear with her own work. This showed that He Xiaomi was dedicated to her work. If the fans still didn't let go of this, it would hinder her career. Anyway, He Xiaomi gained a lot of fans after this. Some people even guessed that He Xiaomi didn't want to be too ruthless, so she stopped it. After all, it was her mother. She didn't want to be scolded, no matter how bad her mother was. However, at this time, marketing was not easy. Someone revealed that He Xiaomi's mother's current status was not low. She was a rich lady in the business circle. Of course, this information was leaked by the He family's mother and son. They had secretly leaked the news and sold it to others. This was because they realized that they could earn a lot of money by selling this information. On the surface, when they dealt with the media, they never mentioned the true identity of He Xiaomi's mother. They hid it very well. The reason why they called Che Ruoqian a rich madam was because in their impression, it was impossible for an ordinary woman to be rich. Little did she know that half of Tang Core was built by Che Ruoqian. Therefore, many people did not think of Che Ruoqian when they found out that the woman was a rich man's wife. Anyone who knew Che Ruoqian would not call her a rich madam. They would only think that she was a strong woman. The rumors could no longer be stopped. Now, more and more people were curious about who would be so rich, and yet refused to acknowledge their own daughter. Some of the rich ladies who were watching the show did not expect to be involved in their circle. They were also guessing who it was. Chapter 5190. Of course, Tang Gua knew what the He family's mother and son were doing. The system had been monitoring them. She didn't stop them, because she wanted this matter to be exposed as soon as possible. If it could be solved as soon as possible, there wouldn't be any trouble in the future. But she didn't expect that the He family's mother and son would sell this for a high price. They were indeed smart. They were smart, but at the same time, she had the evidence in her hands. When the matter was over, this evidence would be used to push them down. The matter was already fermenting, and there was no way to stop it. He Xiaomi's company still let He Xiaomi continue to express her position. They didn't want her private life to be taken over by the public. Anyway, she couldn't choose to respond to this matter. Otherwise, no matter how she responded, it would be very disadvantageous for her. He Xiaomi also posted that she had been working hard on filming recently. Then she completely disappeared. She had to admit that the company's way of dealing with this matter was really good. This way, it wouldn't be easy for the netizens to criticize her. But with the He family's mother and son around, this matter would never end. They didn't continue to expose Che Ruoqian's matter. Actually, they were also very afraid that if this matter was exposed, it would be disadvantageous for them. But the media was really interested in this matter. Every day, the two of them would meet many people and interview them. The two of them could only say ambiguously that He Xiaomi's mother had run away suddenly back then. He Xiaomi went to find her twice, but there was no reply. The other party had already expressed that they didn't admit it. The next hot topic was the interview about He Xiaomi's grandmother and father. In the interview video, the two of them looked very simple. At first glance, one could tell that they were from a poor family in the mountains. The image of the two of them also proved that He Xiaomi's mother probably despised the village for being too poor and abandoned her daughter to run away. Many people felt that this matter didn't need to be cleared up anymore. In the interview, the He family's mother and son still expressed that they hoped that He Xiaomi's wish would come true. They still refused to reveal the real identity of He Xiaomi's mother. Then, many netizens imagined that this family was so kind and simple, but they still refused to reveal the real identity of the other party. Tang Gua saw the reports and interviews one after another. She simply wanted to laugh. It was too ironic. Was the word bad written on their faces? Since when did people judge a person based on their appearance? Were they really that simple just because they looked simple? They even felt sorry for Grandma He and Father He. They looked so pitiful. They didn't deserve to feel sorry for their father and grandmother. Tang Gua felt that things were getting worse, and it was time for her to take action again. She asked her assistant to contact He Xiaomi and said that she needed to communicate with her. Of course, for safety reasons, they did not meet in person and only communicated over the phone. He Xiaomi, I don't think there's anything to talk about between us. We've already said what we needed to say last time. You are her daughter and so am I. Tanggua asked, have you seen the news on the internet? I know, but I've already responded. I hope that the netizens won't discuss my private matters, He Xiaomi said. Tanggua, but your grandma and dad have been accepting interviews. If this continues, more and more people on the internet will scold my mom. She didn't do anything wrong and doesn't deserve to be scolded like this. Do you really think of her as your mother? If this matter were to be exposed one day, do you know how much damage she would suffer? He Xiaomi was silent for a minute before she said, I don't have the ability to shut the netizens' mouths. I don't want them to discuss it. But this matter has already been exposed. What do you want me to do? Persuade your dad and grandma. I hope that they can refuse to be interviewed. They should know very well what happened to my mom back then. He Xiaomi was silent for another minute before she said, they didn't reveal her real identity, and they can't do anything now. It was the media who found her. How can you blame them? If that's the case, why are you still looking for your mom? Isn't your family doing well? You're not looking for your mom, but for revenge, right? He Xiaomi. I just don't understand why she refuses to acknowledge me. Chapter 5191. Have you thought about the consequences if this matter is exposed one day? He Xiaomi said, Miss Tang, you're not me. You grew up in a happy family, so of course you don't understand how I yearn for a mother. I'm not blaming you for this, but I hope you don't take it for granted. You're just an outsider, not me. You'll never understand how I feel. Also, I don't want to talk about this matter anymore. Let's call it a day. I won't take the initiative to say anything in public. What happened has happened. How you want to cover it up is your business. It has nothing to do with me. She doesn't want to acknowledge me. Now that people are curious about this, you can't expect me to help you cover up the truth, right? If this isn't the truth, it's fine to clarify it. But this is the truth. I can't lie to my fans and say that this matter didn't happen. After saying a lot, He Xiaomi said that she was busy and hung up the phone. Tanggua was not angry. She had expected this. Of course, she could tell that He Xiaomi was angry with Che Ruoqian. Sister Xiaomi, are you ready? The double is here. Next, it's time for your big scene. He Xiaomi had been filming a drama about the twin sisters. In the middle of the drama, she needed a double to cooperate with her to maintain the continuity of the scene. She was a flexible person, so she put a lot of effort into the fight scene. Perhaps she didn't know how much she wanted to gain a foothold in this city. She wanted to surpass Tanggua, and even the family Tang. Okay, I'm ready. He Xiaomi handed the phone to her assistant and ran over. It was a difficult fight scene. After more than 3 hours, the director was finally satisfied. He Xiaomi and the double were both exhausted. When they stopped to rest, she carefully sized up the double, who was drinking water. After makeup, this person did look a little like her. Even her body shape was similar. She felt that she was quite professional when it came to fighting scenes. Unfortunately, there were countless people like her in the industry. Few were lucky enough to climb up. You are He Xiaomi from He Village, right? Just as He Xiaomi was thinking about how lucky she was, she suddenly heard a voice. She turned her head and saw that it was the body double talking to her. He Xiaomi didn't put on any airs at this time. She didn't quite understand why the other party would ask such a question that everyone knew, but she still nodded. I am. He Xiaomi, do you still remember me? The girl's excitement made He Xiaomi a little confused. She carefully looked at the young girl in front of her. She seemed to be younger than her, but she really couldn't remember such a person. Could it be someone she knew when she used to work? She shook her head. Probably not. At that time, she worked hard and only wanted to earn more money. She didn't make many friends at all. I don't remember. Who are you? He Xiaomi was now very careful with her words and actions. After the incident last time, she was afraid that if she did something wrong, it would be photographed and magnified on the internet. When she was on set, whether it was to the people around her, the other staff members, or even strangers, her attitude was very gentle. Chapter 5192. Jiang Xiaohua, I'm Jiang Xiaohua. The girl introduced herself excitedly. I'm Jiang Xiaohua from He Village. After I graduated from high school, I was almost forced to marry someone from my family. But I didn't want to, so I asked for the protection of the local women and went out to work. My grades weren't good. If I could get into university, I wouldn't have to work so early. You were already out at that time, so you might not remember me. After that, I went through a lot of things and unintentionally became an extra. Because I'm good looking, the small roles I got were okay. After that, I learned some martial arts from my teacher. When I was an extra, I was also a stunt double. As long as I had the money, I would do it. He Xiaomi looked at the silly smile on Jiang Xiaohua's face and finally remembered who she was. Jiang Xiaohua was also from He Village. Not all the people in He Village had the surname He. Some of them had other surnames. Jiang Xiaohua was a few years younger than He Xiaomi. Her fate was similar to He Xiaomi's. After the accident in He Village, Jiang Xiaohua's mother left without hesitation and never came back, similar to Che Ruoqian. However, Che Ruoqian left on her own, while Jiang Xiaohua's mother was taken away by her family. Seeing that Jiang Xiaohua was just a stunt double, and the best she could do was to be an extra, He Xiaomi felt that she was much luckier. Xiaomi, you're luckier than us. You're the female lead as soon as you debuted. When I saw your life, I couldn't believe it. You've made all the girls in He Village proud. Jiang Xiaohua's smile was pure. It was obvious that she was sincerely happy for He Xiaomi. You're so promising. It's an honor to know you. He Xiaomi only responded faintly and didn't show much enthusiasm. To be honest, she had suffered a lot in the years she worked outside. Some people said that they were friendly, but in fact, there were a lot of troublesome things that she didn't want to take care of at all. Therefore, she acted so indifferently because she wanted to let Jiang Xiaohua understand. Jiang Xiaohua was immersed in the joy of reuniting with her fellow villagers and didn't think about that at all. She had always been self-aware that everyone had their own destiny. She was now an extra and a stunt double. Occasionally, she would take on other private jobs and earn tens of thousands of yuan a month. She had already made up her mind. Now, she would save up for a down payment and buy a one-bedroom house in this city. The relatives in He Family Village were unreliable. As for her biological mother, she didn't think of looking for her. That would ruin the other party's rare peaceful life. She had hands and feet. She didn't lack food or clothing. She could live a good life. If he could meet someone he liked, he would seriously fall in love, get married, and have children. If she hadn't met the right person, she would stay single for the time being. In this world, it wasn't as if she couldn't live without someone. She liked her current life very much. She had always been aiming for this goal. Her thoughts were not as complicated as He Xiaomi's. However, after exchanging a few more words, she also felt He Xiaomi's coldness. She understood that He Xiaomi was a superstar. The fact that she was willing to talk to her was already a good attitude. She didn't want to ask for too much. She didn't think about anything else. It was just that she hadn't seen her fellow countrymen for a long time, so she couldn't control her emotions. How have you been all these years? He Xiaomi asked. Perhaps because they had similar experiences, He Xiaomi was more talkative. Chapter 5193. Jiang Xiaohua smiled and said, "It's okay. After I came out, I realized that the world is so big. I finally understand why the teacher told us to study hard. Unfortunately, I'm not cut out for studying. I wasted so many resources. The teacher gave me special treatment, but I couldn't pass the subjects. I was born unable to eat that bowl of rice. Fortunately, the outside world is big. The opportunities are good too. As long as I work hard, it won't be a problem to eat. All in all, it's not bad." Jiang Xiaohua started chatting endlessly because she really wanted to share her feelings with someone. In another 2 years, I should be able to settle down in this city. He Xiaomi asked subconsciously. Are you going to buy a house and change your household registration? Yes, I'm going to buy a one-bedroom house. It'll be considered a home. When the time comes, I'll be completely separated from that place. Although I'll be burdened with a very high mortgage, my heart will be settled. I won't be homeless anymore. When He Xiaomi heard this, she subconsciously thought of herself. She had just acted in her first movie and received a large sum of money. It was enough for her to buy a house to her liking. Jiang Xiaohua had been out for so many years. She had been a small-time actress and a stunt double. It would take her 2 years to save enough money for the down payment. She suddenly felt lucky. After coming out and seeing the outside world, she realized that the outside world was prosperous. If she hadn't come to this city and met Su Qing, she would never have been able to walk this path. Perhaps she would have walked the same path as Jiang Xiaohua in the future, or even have it harder. Jiang Xiaohua could earn tens of thousands of yuan a month. When she first started working, she worked so hard and only earned 5,000 to 6,000 yuan a month. In such a prosperous and expensive city, she might not be able to save enough money for the down payment even after 10 years. Of course, He Xiaomi didn't reveal this. She asked again, "Have you gone to look for your mother?" Jiang Xiaohua's smile froze. She looked carefully at He Xiaomi. She had been paying attention to He Xiaomi ever since she debuted. Of course, she knew about the rumors. She didn't like to judge others. To be honest, she didn't think much about what He Xiaomi said. Now she only wanted to make money. Nothing else was important. She didn't understand why He Xiaomi suddenly asked this. But she still answered honestly, "Of course not. Why don't you go look for her? Don't you want to understand her current situation and see her attitude towards you?" He Xiaomi asked this question because she wanted to find a sense of identity with Jiang Xiaohua. After all, their experiences were very similar. Jiang Xiaohua smiled and said, "Our meeting was a mistake. Now that I have a new life and she has a new life, why should we meet? Of course I would be glad if she would come to see me. If she doesn't come on her own accord, I don't want to disturb her. She's your biological mother after all. Don't you resent her for not coming to find you? Why do you resent me? I might have had such thoughts when I was young, but I don't have them now." As for why, Jiang Xiaohua did not want to explain. Perhaps it was because she had been talking about the outside world for so many years that she understood many things and knew how to consider things from a different perspective. He Xiaomi didn't understand Xiaohua's thoughts, but Xiaohua knew what He Xiaomi was thinking, but she didn't say anything. This was someone else's business. She didn't want to get into trouble. Right now, she only wanted to make money. She only hoped that she could save enough money for the down payment as soon as possible and buy a small house of her own. That was the most important thing. Chapter 5194. He Xiaomi felt that there was nothing to talk about with Xiaohua. She knew that there was a big gap between them. During the rest of the scenes, they didn't talk about He Village, even though they were sitting together. Of course, they didn't exchange contact information. He Xiaomi had planned to give Xiaohua the contact information of a random crew member if Xiaohua asked. But she didn't expect that they wouldn't exchange contact information until Xiaohua's stunt double finished. That day the sun was shining brightly. Jiang Xiaohua was sweating profusely because of the last fight scene. He Xiaomi stood in the corner and watched Xiaohua greet the director and the other crew members with a smile. Xiaohua returned the costume and ran out of the set. She heard that she had 2 more scenes in the afternoon. He Xiaomi also heard that Xiaohua was the most popular special actress in the film. Every director who came to film would ask if Xiaohua was around. Even if she couldn't become famous, it was still good for her to survive in the film industry. He Xiaomi felt that it wasn't easy for Xiaohua to become famous unless she met someone who could support her. But many people wouldn't have such an opportunity, even if they waited their whole lives. The competition in the industry was too strong. Without background and money, it was impossible to make it. After finishing her work with Xiaohua, He Xiaomi continued with the next scene. What she didn't know was that Xiaohua went to Tangua's set in the afternoon. This time, she was a special actress. Because of her good looks, figure and fighting skills, the director asked her to be in the first place. It could be said that she was very busy now. Every day, she had endless work to do and endless money to earn. She was very happy and wished that she could be divided into several parts to do the work. At this time, Tangua wasn't filming Di Yuan's movie. That movie had already finished filming, and she had accepted another TV series. Xiaohua, you have to work hard. Try to perform well, so that the director can give you more screen time. I highly recommend you this time. And the director knows that you're good. If you perform well, you might be able to get the role of the supporting female lead next time. This time, you will be the 5th female lead. If you do well, there will be no complaints. It's also your chance. If it weren't for your figure, beauty, and ability to fight, this role wouldn't have landed on you. The person who spoke to Jiang Xiaohua was her supervisor. He had always thought highly of her, but she had no background or money. It was not easy for her to get promoted, so she could only wait for an opportunity. Okay, Sisterly. I won't work hard. I won't let you down. Sisterly patted Jiang Xiaohua's shoulder with a smile on her face. Hurry up and go. Leave a good impression. This time, you can even meet movie Queen Tang. Maybe you can even act with her. Movie Queen Tang is approachable. If you have a sweet mouth, you'll benefit a lot from her advice. Alright. Jiang Xiaohua was also a little excited. It was not important to give her pointers. She could slowly learn from them. It would be great if she could get an autograph. She touched her pocket. She had prepared a small notebook and a pen. This time, she was really going to shamelessly ask for an autograph. If she behaved well, she should be noticed, right? She was not a fan of Tanghua. She was a fan of her looks. Especially in the past few months, she felt that Tanghua was becoming more and more beautiful. She was simply too charming. The small notebook was filled with the photos she had printed out. On the set, Tanghua noticed that someone kept sneaking glances at her. Every time she looked over, the person quickly looked away. Once she was determined to catch the person. She quickly looked over. Jiang Xiaohua was caught in the act. It was too late for her to dodge. She could only smile at Tanghua. Chapter 5195. Tanghua took the initiative to walk in front of Jiang Xiaohua, looked at the beautiful dress of the other party, and asked, "You are playing Su Qingqing, right?" "Well, yes, that's right, movie Queen Tang." Jiang Xiaohua was a little incoherent. She didn't expect that Tanghua would talk to her. She was so excited. Tanghua was familiar with the script. Of course, she knew the character Su Qingqing. She was one of the highlights of this TV series. She had a few scenes with her, and a few fighting scenes. "Why did you look at me just now? Is there anything wrong?" Jiang Xiaohua quickly denied. No, it's the first time I've seen movie Queen Tang so close. You are so beautiful that I feel that the camera can't capture your beauty. You are a little unphotogenic. Someone said the same thing to you before. Tanghua thought of Zhuyi. Every time she was filming, that guy would hang around nearby and find a temporary job for himself. Let's do a scene before it's our turn. How about it? Tanghua felt that Jiang Xiaohua's eyes were particularly bright, full of enthusiasm, struggle, and hope that many people didn't have. She looked like a particularly energetic person. Since she had a scene with her, she might as well do it first. She had heard the director say before that Su Qingqing was an excellent character in the script. The only thing was that she had fewer scenes. But there were high requirements for actors. They had to have a good figure, a good-looking face, and most importantly, they had to be able to fight and be flexible. Many actors could achieve the first two, but not many actors could withstand the director's slow-motion test for the last one. Because every time Su Qingqing appeared in the scene, not only her movements had to be handsome, but also her beautiful face had to be close-up. There were very few actresses who met all the requirements. Even some stunt doubles couldn't do it. Among the countless people recommended, only Jiang Xiaohua met the requirements. In the short conversation just now, Tanghua felt that Jiang Xiaohua looked very good. She exuded a kind of hope all over her body, giving people a very bright feeling. If there were no accidents, if Jiang Xiaohua could perform well this time, she would most likely be able to turn over a new leaf. Anyway, she had nothing to do, so it was not bad to guide two more newcomers. Ever since she started acting, as long as she saw something good, she would unreservedly give pointers. Unknowingly, she had formed a lot of good karma. Jiang Xiaohua was flattered. Of course, she nodded repeatedly. How could she miss such a good opportunity? In the next half an hour, Tang Guo went through the scenes with Jiang Xiaohua. She even briefly communicated with Jiang Xiaohua about some of the action scenes. Jiang Xiaohua was stunned. Tang Guo's fighting skills were so good. He had never heard of her before. The other onlookers were also stunned. She was so straightforward. Previously, the director had said that if Tang Guo couldn't do some fast and long shots, he would find 2 martial arts doubles for her. But now, it seemed like there was no need for that. Although it was only half an hour, Tang Guo said a few words from time to time, and Jiang Xiaohua listened to everything. In a short time, he was enlightened, and the accumulation of the past few years exploded in an instant. This explosive power might last for a long time. When the director learned about the situation of Tang Guo and Jiang Xiaohua, he was also overjoyed. When shooting the 2 of them, he put a lot of thought into it. Looking at Tang Guo and Jiang Xiaohua, his eyes lit up, especially Jiang Xiaohua. He felt that this was a treasure that he had dug out himself. So he gave her a lot of advice. The main thing was that Tang Guo was really impeccable, and he couldn't find any room for him to play. Then, he felt that Jiang Xiaohua's role of Su Qingqing was too sad and beautiful, so he had to add more scenes. When the time came, it would be better to make the audience cry more. Tang Guo also knew Jiang Xiaohua's name, and she was stunned at that time. Because in the original plot, Jiang Xiaohua did exist. Chapter 5196. Whether it was in the original plot or now, Jiang Xiaohua only had one goal, which was to settle down in this city and never return to that small mountain village. That place and the people there were not worthy of her nostalgia. She had worked hard for many years and finally had enough money for the down payment. She planned to buy a 1-bedroom apartment and settle down. However, fate was sometimes so difficult to be at peace with. She was clearly trying her best to live, but things always went against her wishes. When Jiang Xiaohua was preparing to buy a house, the Jiang family in the He family village at the foot of the mountain found out about it. Of course, they were very jealous. After they found out about Jiang Xiaohua's whereabouts, they came to find her and used force to take her back. After they brought her back, they planned to marry her off as soon as possible. Of course, Jiang Xiaohua was unwilling. The Jiang family wanted her to take out all her money to repay their kindness of raising her. In order to avoid being married off, Jiang Xiaohua could only compromise. She thought that even if the money was gone, she still had time to earn it. If she really got married, she could only stay in this small mountain village forever. She did not know that after the Jiang family got the money, they did not plan to let her go at all. They took her identity card and locked her in the house. During this time, there were people who came to talk about Jiang Xiaohua's marriage, but Jiang Xiaohua did not compromise. As long as they came to talk about marriage, she would do something extreme. After those people saw such a crazy woman, they did not dare to marry her. Some people coveted Jiang Xiaohua's beauty and wanted to marry her by force. However, Jiang Xiaohua said in front of those people that if they were not afraid of death, they could marry her. All kinds of gloomy and scary words were indeed persuasive to those who came to propose marriage. No one dared to imagine that if they fell asleep at night, they would never wake up in the morning. No one was not afraid of death. The Jiang family locked Jiang Xiaohua up for 3 years and did not give her much food. In the end, they saw that they had no choice but to let Jiang Xiaohua go. However, at this time, Jiang Xiaohua had lost her best opportunity. When she returned to her original place, she was not so popular anymore. After 3 years, her appearance and temperament had changed a lot. At this time, she no longer had an advantage because of her age. This time she could only be an extra. Even if she later called the police and sued the Jiang family, she could not get her money and youth back. The members of the Jiang family were like dead pigs that were not afraid of boiling water. Becoming a deadbeat had no effect on them at all. Jiang Xiaohua still stayed in the city as an extra. In those 3 years, the housing prices had skyrocketed, and she had missed the best opportunity to settle down. Now she was not earning as much money as before. Even the light in her eyes was much dimmer. She felt like she had lost all hope. Tang Guo also found a key point in the plot. Jiang Xiaohua did not contact the Jiang family at all. and the Jiang family did not pay much attention to the TV series. At that time, Jiang Xiaohua did not have many cameras, and he had changed a lot. The Jiang family might not be able to recognize him. Why were they able to find Jiang Xiaohua so accurately? This credit belonged to none other than He Xiaomi. Although He Xiaomi wanted to settle down in this city, she would still go back with her mother and son during festivals. When he met the Jiang family, it was inevitable that Jiang Xiaohua would be mentioned. Jiang Xiaohua would never have thought that the person who shattered her dreams was He Xiaomi, who had spoken a few words with the Jiang family. In the end, He Xiaomi even helped them find her. Chapter 5197. Moreover, she was overjoyed when the director decided to give Jiang Xiaohua more scenes. After working hard for so many years, she could finally show her face a few more times. What made her the happiest was that her goddess treated her very well. Every day, she would patiently correct her mistakes and teach her some skills. Anyone who knew Jiang Xiaohua knew that she was a hardworking woman. Most people who knew Jiang Xiaohua would not be jealous of her. Jiang Xiaohua had a sweet mouth and was hardworking. She got along very well with the crew. Especially Tanggua's closeness to her. The crew did not dare to underestimate her. Those who had some experience knew that Jiang Xiaohua was going to make a name for herself. Originally, she was the fifth female lead. After the director added more scenes, she managed to survive until the last few episodes. Her scenes were almost comparable to the second female lead. Jiang Xiaohua performed very well. The director remembered her completely. On the day that Jiang Xiaohua finished filming, Tanggua asked, "Do you have a contract with the company?" Nope. Jiang Xiaohua did not have a contract with the company, but she had a person in charge, who was like an agent. This person was the one who introduced her to jobs as an extra in the beginning. She was still an individual now. It was not that she did not want to be signed, but that she did not have the chance. Signing her meant that she had to be given resources. Right now, she was not famous, popular, and had no background or resources. Under normal circumstances, the company would not promote someone for no reason. Although some people were at the top when they debuted, no one knew what they had sacrificed behind the scenes. Moreover, she was a straightforward person. She had her own principles. She was not willing to do things that crossed her bottom line. Perhaps this was one of the reasons why Jiang Xiaohua had not been able to make a name for herself. I think you're not bad. Your basic skills are very solid. Not many actresses can compare to you in action scenes. Although some details are a little rough, as long as you undergo some systematic training, this flaw will be quickly fixed. After Tanggua finished speaking, she did not wait for Jiang Xiaohua to speak. Are you interested in joining my company? As the heiress of the Tang group, Tanggua had her own company. That way, she would have more freedom and would not be bound by strange contracts. Previously, when she met other artistes, she did not have such thoughts. When she saw Jiang Xiaohua's desperate look, she was a little tempted, especially when she knew what Jiang Xiaohua might encounter in the future. She felt that it would be better to sign her as soon as possible. When the time came, she would give her an assistant and a bodyguard. If the Jiang family dared to take her away, they would have to ask for her permission first. Jiang Xiaohua thought that she would stand out, but she did not expect that Tanggua would propose to sign her. At that moment her mind went blank. She was obviously quite eloquent and could speak human language when she saw people or ghosts. But at this moment, she didn't know how to express her feelings. Tanggua was not in a hurry. She waited for Jiang Xiaohua to calm down. Jiang Xiaohua's face was red with excitement, and he slowly calmed down. Movie Queen Tang, do you really want to sign me? I'm just a special guest who knows a little kung fu. I'm not popular, and I don't have any background. Also, I have my own principles. Some bottom lines can't be crossed. If she really didn't care about her bottom line, perhaps with this appearance, she would have already settled down in this city. However, she only wanted to live a clean life in this world, because her background was not clean. She did not want to sell herself for fame and fortune. Chapter 5198. After confirming that Tanggua was going to sign her, Jiang Xiaohua burst into tears and hurriedly expressed her willingness. She didn't expect that she would be so lucky to be signed by a company that belonged to her goddess. It was a perfect life. You can go to the company with my assistant later to read the contract. Someone came to see you before. She should be the person who arranged the work for you, right? Yes, that's Sister Lee. She has been taking care of me since I came here. Sister Lee is a very nice person. Many people are indebted to her. Sister Lee is too righteous. People often say that she can't do great things. What do you think of her being your agent? If she is willing, the company can sign both of you. If she has good potential, she can help the company choose and sign them. Tangwa thought of this mainly because the person who was called Sister Lee was indeed a good person. She was one of the nicer people in this area. She took good care of the newcomers. In the original plot, she didn't dislike Jiang Xiaohua when she went back. She even called the police and sued the Jiang family. Although there were not many results, she didn't give up on Jiang Xiaohua. However, the Jiang family had tortured Jiang Xiaohua for years. They had tortured her until she lost all her spirit, drive, and hope. Regardless of whether it was physical or mental damage, there was no way for her to recover from it. Is that really okay? Jiang Xiaohua didn't know what to say. To be honest, after she agreed, she felt a little sad that she couldn't work with Sister Lee in the future. Then I'll go find Sister Lee right away. Tangwa watched Jiang Xiaohua run out in a hurry, and a smile appeared on her face. Miss Tang, are you planning to expand your business and train newcomers? The person who asked the question was Zhuo Yi. He was wearing a cap. Because he was dressed as a staff member, no one said anything when he talked to Tangwa. Because he was now the prop master of this crew, Tangwa didn't know what was going on. No matter which crew she was in, Zhuo Yi was there. Sometimes he was the prop master, sometimes he was the lighting technician, and sometimes he was in other positions. Anyway, he was everywhere. Now she finally understood. If this guy became a media person in the entertainment industry, there might not be many artistes' secrets that could escape his eyes. He was too versatile. She suspected that Zhuo Yi would dig a tunnel. Little Flower Jiang is really not bad. She's such a good seedling. It's a pity that she's always been a special actress. With a little training she'll shine. Zhuo Yi said she's pretty good. It's rare to find someone so down-to-earth and hard-working in this industry. This was because this was a very fickle circle. Many people were here for fame and fortune. It was impossible for them to be as patient and serious as Jiang Xiaohua. Most people chose to take shortcuts as much as possible. No matter what the shortcut required, as long as they could achieve their goals, it was fine. Jiang Xiaohua had principles and a bottom line. However, it was often difficult for people like her to make a name for themselves, because the things that she couldn't let go of happened to make her feel uncomfortable in this circle. After being in the circle for so many years, how many people could still hold on to their original hearts? I have a feeling that after she becomes famous, she can make me a lot of money. Zhuo Yi was amused. If you think so highly of her, this investment won't be a loss. In fact, Zhuo Yi felt that Tangwa didn't sign Jiang Xiaohua to let her make money. He couldn't guess the reason. Maybe she admired her. Chapter 5199. Sister Lee. Xiaohua finally found Li Chai in the crowd with a megaphone. She went over and hugged her, ignoring the fact that she was having trouble breathing. Sister Lee, good news. Good news. Li Chai pushed the huge pendant away, rubbed her neck and said angrily, "What good news? Did the director change the ending for you?" Li Chai knew that Jiang Xiaohua had been given extra scenes. She didn't expect that so many scenes would be added, almost surpassing the second female lead. She believed that after this drama aired, Xiaohua's popularity would definitely increase. But she was also a little unhappy. Xiaohua was the best person she had at the moment. When her popularity increased, there would definitely be companies coming to sign her, and they would have fewer chances to meet in the future. Maybe it wouldn't be long before things changed, and there would be some distance between the two of them. Li Chai felt sad just thinking about it. She didn't know if Xiaohua, who was so pure, would become like other people in the future, and become unrecognizable. Sister Lee, I can sign with a company. Li Chai was stunned. Had a company found out about Xiaohua, and wanted to sign her? Which company? It's my goddess's company. Jiang Xiaohua couldn't hide his thoughts, so he spilled the beans without hesitation. Li Chai was even more incredulous. As far as she knew, Tanggua's company was set up by her for her own convenience. She basically didn't sign artists. Are you sure? That's right. My goddess told me that herself. She even asked you if you wanted to be my manager. Sisterly, are you willing? You were the one who brought me to eat meat and drink soup. Now it's my turn. If you're willing, we can go discuss the contract this afternoon. Li Chai almost dropped the megaphone in her hand. Xiaohua continued. My goddess also said that you know a lot of people. If there are any good seedlings, you can bring them to the company in advance to train. Li Chai felt that she must be dreaming. Li Chai was almost 40 years old, and she actually had such an opportunity. It wasn't that there weren't any extras who had made a name for themselves, but only Xiaohua happily invited her to go with her. Now it was her turn to bring her to eat meat and drink soup. It would be a lie to say that she wasn't touched. Jiang Xiaohua knew that Li Chai should be willing, so she pulled her away. Li Chai finally reacted. I still have something to do here. I have to make arrangements for those people before I go, right? Then let's go together, okay? Jiang Xiaohua said. I'll help you. I know the process. It'll be faster if two people arrange it. Li Chai didn't refuse. She looked at Jiang Xiaohua's energetic appearance. She also had a lot of strength in her body. It seemed that all the small problems in her body had disappeared. Jiang Xiaohua and Li Chai were both signed by Tanggua. As for Tanggua, her scenes were almost finished. The company had people who specialized in training Jiang Xiaohua, so she didn't need to worry too much. At most, she would ask them to train Jiang Xiaohua and Li Chai well. Her company did not lack resources. Once the drama was aired, she could use all her resources to invest in Jiang Xiaohua. She also planned to bring Jiang Xiaohua with her when she was filming in the future to help her get roles. Tanggua requested for one of her artists to try out for one of the roles. If the director was satisfied, then she would use it. If not, then forget it. In the end, of course, the director was satisfied. Jiang Xiaohua was talented and eager to learn. Now that she had been trained systematically, she wouldn't be bad. The only thing she lacked was that she wasn't so lucky. She was missing an opportunity. Unknowingly, it was Chinese New Year again. The news about He Xiaomi looking for her mother on the internet temporarily died down. Recently there was new news, so the discussion was less. He Xiaomi finished her work and planned to go back to her hometown with the He family. Returning home in glory, she more or less wanted to show off in her heart. Chapter 5200. What are your plans for the new year? Are you going back to your hometown? Tanggua knew about Xiaohua's background, but Xiaohua didn't know that she knew about it, so she asked casually. Jiang Xiaohua was so happy that she could wake up from her dreams. She could see her goddess every day, and she could even play a role with more scenes. She felt that her little house would be settled even sooner. No, maybe she could buy a bigger 2-bedroom house? She calculated the money she had earned recently. She could wait a little longer. Maybe she could buy a 3-bedroom house. It would be bigger and more comfortable. She could also raise flowers, grass, and pets. Xiaohua shook her head when she heard Tanggua's question. I'll stay here. I won't go back. Doesn't your family talk about it? Xiaohua thought about her family and sighed. My family is complicated. I'm not afraid that you'll laugh at me, Sister Xiaogua. My birth wasn't very glorious. My parents didn't like me. I don't have many complaints about that. I'm fine as long as my life is getting better. I used to complain about why my life was like this. Later, I walked out of that small village and understood many things. One's birth might not change, but everyone has a chance to change their fate. Now her fate was changing bit by bit. If you don't mind, you can tell me about your situation. If you really can't go back, you can come to my house this year. There aren't many people in my house. It'll be more lively with one more person. Xiaohua was a little shy. Is that really okay? There's nothing wrong with it. Xiaohua. Then I won't stand on ceremony. After that, Jiang Xiaohua started talking about her family. There were some things that she really wanted to share with others. She didn't say much about the He family village. She only said that her mother was abducted to the village and later left. Fortunately, the local government's policy allowed her to go to school. Unfortunately, she didn't live up to expectations. Her grades weren't good, so she couldn't get into university. She overheard that her grandparents and father and stepmother wanted to marry her off to get a rich betrothal gift for her younger brother. Her younger brother was born to her father and stepmother. She didn't want to live like this for the rest of her life, so she ran away at night. If it wasn't for the local policy, I might have been gone when I was born. When Jiang Xiaohua said this, she didn't feel humiliated because this was her past. Now that I've finally made it out, how can I go back? I can't wait for her to hide from them. After I buy a house, I can move my household registration and never see them again. They don't like me. When I was young, they treated me as a servant. When I grew up, they wanted to treat me as a cash cow. There are subsidies for the daughters of every family. The money is not used on me at all. It's all given to my brother. If I go back and they see that I've earned money, they'll definitely suck my blood. If they're angry and dissatisfied with me, they'll point at me and call me a bastard who doesn't have a mother. It's really unpleasant to hear. Tang Guo found that Jiang Xiaohua was very calm when she said this. Why don't you look for your biological mother? Jiang Xiaohua shrugged. I thought about it when I was young, but I've figured it out over the years. It's better not to look for it. I guess my mother's life back then was worse than a dog's. She probably didn't want to remember what happened in the village. Maybe she's already buried this memory and lived a peaceful life. Why should I disturb her? My existence is because she was forced to. To her it's hurting. There's really no need. Seeing me will only bring up bad memories. Then come to my house for the new year. Jiang Xiaohua smiled happily and didn't refuse. Speaking of which, she hadn't really celebrated the new year for many years. She had never felt that kind of feeling of home. She was really lucky. Was this considered as happiness after suffering? This kind of life really made people feel that it was perfect. On the other side, He Xiaomi had already returned to He village at the foot of the mountain with the He family's mother and son. The family drove back. There were a total of 3 cars, and the cars were filled with many things. As soon as they entered He village, they attracted the attention of everyone in the village. Peak. Chapter 5201. The He family took a luxurious car back with many bags. When they arrived, the villagers came over to watch. The He family was already prepared and distributed the things to the villagers. The He family village already knew that He Xiaomi was a superstar. She even gave them so many things when she came back. She was so approachable. They discussed in low voices. He Xiaomi was already a superstar, but she still thought of them. She was really not arrogant at all. At this moment, the He family village was lively. He Xiaomi and the villagers got along well. This scene was even taken by someone. These photos might appear on the internet in 2 days. Then, they would be praised by the netizens. Most of these praises were because He Xiaomi was down to earth and had a good relationship with the villagers. Because of He Xiaomi, the He family received the highest treatment in the He family village. The He family mother and son were very happy. The Jiang family also brought their children to receive red packets. They walked in front of He Xiaomi and said many good things. Everyone was smiling and looked very simple. Who would have thought that such a simple and benevolent face would actually have such a dark heart? Your Xiaomi is really promising. She's a superstar now. She's promising and doesn't forget her roots. She's not like our girl. She's been out for so many years, and we don't know where she went. She hasn't even called back. The person who spoke was old Madame Jiang. She and old Madame, he usually liked to chat. Don't be fooled by her smiling face and kind appearance. In reality, she was very jealous of old Madame He's present situation. Old Madame He knew very well. She only smiled and replied. She praised He Xiaomi and gave old Madame Jiang's village red packets and candies. I don't expect that girl from my family to be as good as your Xiaomi. It's enough if she can be half as good as your Xiaomi. I don't know what she's doing outside. She hasn't contacted me for so many years. Old Madame Jiang was actually jealous. She also complained about Jiang Xiaohua. She was just saying it casually. However, when He Xiaomi heard this, she subconsciously asked, Grandma Jiang, He Xiaomi hasn't been home all these years? She hasn't contacted you? No. She's just a wild girl who doesn't like to go home. She's not as sensible as you. She's rich and successful, but she still doesn't forget about home. Old Madame Jiang said. The rest of the Jiang family members were also whispering about Jiang Xiaohua, not going back for so many years. He Xiaomi said. Actually, I met Jiang Xiaohua before. She seems to be doing well now. I didn't expect her to not come home. Everyone in the Jiang family was shocked. Then they quickly asked He Xiaomi where she had met Jiang Xiaohua and what had happened to her. He Xiaomi didn't think too much about it. Since she had met Jiang Xiaohua, and the Jiang family was asking about it, she couldn't possibly not tell them, right? Jiang Xiaohua had been away for so many years, but he had never come home. He had never even called. It was indeed a little unreasonable. Thus, she told him about Jiang Xiaohua's whereabouts. She told him everything she knew. When the Jiang family heard that Jiang Xiaohua was working as an extra, they felt embarrassed. One was a big star, and the other was a small extra. Why was the difference so big? When he heard that Jiang Xiaohua was saving up for a down payment and was planning to buy a house in that city, he couldn't control his greed. How much would it cost to buy a house in the city? This Jiang Xiaohua actually wanted to buy a house secretly without contacting her family. She really didn't treat her as a member of the Jiang family and didn't think of her brother at all, right? Vertex. Chapter 5202. In fact, Mrs. Jiang didn't believe it. She joked. What ability does that girl have? How much money can she make? How can she buy a house? She grabbed it. At least tens of thousands of yuan a month. It's possible to save for a few years to buy a house, Jiang Xiaohua said. Although she didn't care about tens of thousands of yuan a month, she couldn't express it. She said it in a good tone, so there was nothing wrong with it. However, she didn't know that the Jiang family had an idea when they heard that Jiang Xiaohua could make tens of thousands of yuan a month. Then they asked He Xiaomi a series of questions. After a long time, they left reluctantly. At the beginning of spring, the He family left again. After all, she still had a job and her career was rising now. After the new year, Jiang Xiaohua was ready to buy a house. Because she followed Tanghua and made a lot of money, it was no problem for her to pay the down payment for a 3-bedroom house. She wanted a house of her own so much that she started to look for houses at the beginning of the new year. She wasn't so busy during this period. He Xiaomi had returned to the city to work. However, in less than 2 months, the Jiang family went to find her with a lot of money. When she was in the village, the Jiang family tried their best to find out about her situation. They even left their contact information with the He family. Now, the Jiang family was living in He Xiaomi's house. He Xiaomi looked at the noisy house, the He family's mother and son who smiled very proudly, and the Jiang family's envious eyes. In fact, she didn't welcome the villagers to her house as she had imagined. Therefore, after figuring out why the Jiang family came to the city, she actively helped them to contact Jiang Xiaohua. She regretted that she didn't leave Jiang Xiaohua's contact information last time. Otherwise, she wouldn't have to ask the staff to find her. However, after half a day, the staff told her that Jiang Xiaohua was no longer in the original place. She had signed a contract with a company. If there was no mistake, Jiang Xiaohua's TV series would be broadcast after a while. The first one to be broadcast would be Su Qingqing's character, and then the others. He Xiaomi was a little shocked after hearing it. She asked the staff to contact Jiang Xiaohua, but the staff said that Jiang Xiaohua couldn't be contacted now. Why can't you contact her? Is she abroad? No, Jiang Xiaohua is currently participating in a closed-off reality show. It's estimated that she'll be there for half a year. Based on the past, unless Jiang Xiaohua withdraws herself, no one will be able to contact her for the next 6 months. If you want to see her, you can only do it on the screen. He Xiaomi knew which reality show it was. She opened her mouth but didn't know what to say. Why did Jiang Xiaohua suddenly stand out? Originally, Jiang Xiaohua was thinking about buying a house, but Tanghua found out that the Jiang family had entered the city. She saw that the reality show was recruiting new contestants, So she decided to send Jiang Xiaohua in. He even told Jiang Xiaohua that if he could enter the top 3 on this show, he would get a lot of money. At that time, not to mention a 3-bedroom villa. Even the down payment for a villa would not be a problem. Jiang Xiaohua was tempted when she heard that. She was packed up by Tang Guo on the same day. As for whether the Jiang family would stay in He Xiaomi's house for the next 6 months, she didn't know. That was He Xiaomi's business. He Xiaomi told the Jiang family about Jiang Xiaohua's situation. They were very unhappy and started to scold Jiang Xiaohua in front of He Xiaomi. Then we'll wait, old madam, he said. Isn't it half a year? Then we'll see her in half a year. Under He Xiaomi's reluctance, the He family warmly invited the Jiang family to stay. Chapter 5203. He Xiaomi didn't expect the Jiang family to be so thick-skinned that they would stay at her house for half a year. For the sake of her reputation, she really couldn't say anything. After this family moved in, it was as if they were royalty. Fortunately, she had the money to hire a helper, otherwise, it might have been even worse. The He family's mother and son did not feel uncomfortable at all. Instead, they were very happy. They were not asked to pay, nor did they have to put in any effort. Every day, someone would serve them with food and drink, and they could even make the Jiang family jealous. During this period, another thing happened. The paparazzi had been squatting at He Xiaomi's place and reported that a mysterious man had moved into He Xiaomi's mansion. Later, He Xiaomi clarified that she was a villager from the same village and had come to the city to stay for a while. Hence, there were many good comments about He Xiaomi online. Everyone felt that she was too down to earth. To seize and seize Jiang Xiaohua finally came out. He Xiaomi had asked someone to keep an eye on her. After knowing that Jiang Xiaohua had returned to her place, she brought the Jiang family to look for Jiang Xiaohua the next day. She did not call to inform her, because she was afraid that Jiang Xiaohua would avoid the Jiang family. She did not know how long the Jiang family would stay in her house. The moment the Jiang family saw Jiang Xiaohua, old Madame Jiang subconsciously wanted to pull Jiang Xiaohua's ear. But she remembered that He Xiaomi and the others were still there. Jiang Xiaohua also saw He Xiaomi. How could she not know that the Jiang family was brought here by He Xiaomi? This time, it was because He Xiaomi was too anxious that she had no choice but to bring him over personally. When both sides met, He Xiaomi found an excuse and left with the He family's mother and son. She said that she wanted to give both sides some time to spend together. Jiang Xiaohua would be the one to decide where the Jiang family would live in the future. It had nothing to do with her. After the He family left, old Madame Jiang wanted to slap Jiang Xiaohua. But Jiang Xiaohua dodged quickly and avoided it. Then the Jiang family started to quarrel and complain. They scolded Jiang Xiaohua for being unfilial and not thinking about his family. Jiang Xiaohua was used to seeing their faces. After she couldn't take it anymore, she called the security guards to ask them to leave. Only then did it become much quieter. At this moment, the Jiang family was unwilling to accept it. They all saw that Jiang Xiaohua was different now that she was rich. He Xiaomi also told them that Jiang Xiaohua should be able to earn a lot of money now. No matter what, they had to get the money from Jiang Xiaohua. They didn't know what it meant to suppress people with public opinion, but they knew how to get Jiang Xiaohua back. This was what they had been doing since the beginning. Abducting another family's people was punishable by imprisonment. It shouldn't be a problem to bring his own people back, right? The Jiang family immediately contacted those they knew and asked them to help bring Jiang Xiaohua back to the village. These movements were all under Tang Guo's nose. Originally, she had planned to hire 2 bodyguards to protect Jiang Xiaohua. Later on, he thought that if Little Flower Jiang became slightly famous, the marketing accounts might write nonsense. At that time, Little Flower Jiang would bear the reputation of being unfilial and forgetting his roots. The netizens didn't care what the truth was. They would only believe what they wanted to believe. First of all, the Jiang family lived at the foot of the mountain. If they came all the way here to look for Jiang Xiaohua, they could pin the blame on Xiaohua Jiang. Therefore, she chose to wait for Jiang Xiaohua to be abducted by them. The Jiang family would at most starve Jiang Xiaohua for a while. She could just bring people to save her in time. At that time, she would also make He family village famous and take revenge for both old and new grudges. She was waiting for Jiang Xiaohua to go missing. She would ask the company to call the police and release a notice to inform the netizens that Jiang Xiaohua was missing. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.